on Simo and Goss for breakfast. Coach's Call.
Thanks to Hungry Jacks, and they've been on board all year, and we appreciate their support. Craving something fancy, get into the drive-through, and you can have the eggs Ben, you can have whatever's there, because breakfast time is great time, and the coffee is elite. Just a quick one. Jay says, Simo, if you were JL, would you, what would you do with Amos? And do you tell the boys to bring their mouth guards? It's a bit too close to the end of the season for mouth guards.
I don't think it was a mouth guard game. I think it was, like you said, not stage fright, but I just didn't think they had the whole game in order. So we'll talk about that in a minute, because there's definitely a way. This time of year, it's. I don't think there's many learnings to go. So review it the way we normally do. Maybe. I don't think I would. I wouldn't bring the mouth guards though, but I'd be doing something a little bit different.
Thank you, Jay. All righty, let's turn our attention just quickly. We've got to touch on it. The Marvel game against Essendon, St Kilda by 2 points Friday night.
Yeah. Look, well, obviously we were doing the other game, weren't we, Goss? But Redmond's had 36 possessions. I don't know how many kick-ins he took, but it was, of all the games, this was the McDonald's game. This is the cheap, poor quality game. So we'll get onto the Whopper game later. This was pretty irrelevant as they come. The Saints have won 4 in a row now, which is great. They had 15 forward-half turnovers, the Saints. I'm just trying to work out what they're trying to do from a system point of view. I reckon next year for Ross, it's going to be what is our identity? Because at the moment they're winning games through good coaching, and there's some big upheaval coming with their list profile. So I think we move on this game pretty
well. Well, they've won 4 in a row. If you're a Saints fan, you'd be relatively happy with
they
the month.
win next week, and then suddenly it's like you go into next season with some real oomph. But if you lose your best player, then it's a different pre-season. So
57 points, Brisbane over Fremantle. 57 points at Brisbane over Fremantle. How do you see it?
Yeah, 106 more possessions, Brisbane. It's just too many. That's too long to defend. So if anyone out there is going, well, who cares if they take all these uncontested marks as long as they don't score? But you're defending the whole time. And we used to do this back in the day. We'd make a team defend with possession, and then eventually halfway through the third, we'd notice they get tired defending all day. So I think that happened towards the back end of the third quarter. It just got a bit too hard for Fremantle, and the comeback we all expected was just a bit too far away, wasn't it? So clearances, they lost by 6. Centre clearances, they won by 7. So around the ground, they got touched up. This is Fremantle, that is. And then in transition and turnover game, Brisbane had 27 forward half turnovers, which is high. And they kicked 7 goals, 3 just from centre forward, guys. So you can't rely on Fremantle scoring from the back half. They don't have the skill, mate. Like Clark's the one who's got the line-breaking skill, but balls in Pearce's hands or Chapman, they're good players, but that's not their biggest brief is the offensive rebound. So they need that supply from the midfield, and I just feel when their midfield's down, the team's down.
Did you think there was 57 points? Did you think the scoreline was distorted in regards to weighing the numbers? Did you think it was not quite right, or did you think it was 10-goal difference?
It almost felt like, when you lose down halfway through a last quarter in a final, and you sort of half give up. I didn't look like they gave up, but it felt that way, didn't it? It felt like, this game's out of control now. It's hard to turn a 40-point, it's easier to turn 40 into 60 than 40 into 20 when there's 10 minutes to go.
And Brisbane? What's your take
It surprised me, their ability they look sharp with their hands. It looked like a really good standard of a game. So it wasn't like Fremantle horrendous. The hands of Brisbane, though, and the young players, the young Fletcher can play, and the Ashcroft brothers, and they're
Morris up forward.
Yeah, Morris. I did get told on the West Coast could have picked him. We didn't. I think my response is that's why I'm sitting up here. But
chose Archer Reed.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a good player.
Yep,
so,
agree.
But yeah, so overall, we've spoken about this game enough today. I think the midfield's the group at halftime. Sarong had I think 18 or 19 possessions at halftime, 10 contested possessions. Dunkley went on to him, just tightened up a little bit. He finished with 26 wrong, and that's when I think the game sort of lost its way for Fremantle. That's an issue. That is an issue.
Sarong,
because what they're doing at the moment, which is part of evolution. If you go to Sarong, he's going to try and free up others. So it's the first thing he'll try and do. He'll try and be selfless, and then if that doesn't work, what's next? So I think just beating your tag's your first priority.
35 points was the margin. GWS on the Gold Coast against the Gold Coast. Damien Hardwick spoke.
Sometimes when you have down days, sometimes you have some guys that are down, but not the amount of players that we had down today, which then affected us system-wise, and we just couldn't get the game looking like a Suns game at all. So We'll sit there and you can analyse it to death, but the fact of the matter is what we've done throughout the course of the year has been pretty consistent the way we played and played a reasonable style of game. Today was nothing like that.
You know, we've all got our trigger words. So Wangan Miller is obviously. He says obviously a lot. A lot of players say obviously. And Dimmers is it's a Suns game or a Tigers game. And he says it's the fact of the matter is, which is a hard trigger word. It's a long one, isn't it? But he's right. There was an amount of individuals that were down and then your system breaks down. So we're all system coaches, but you need your talent and you need your one-on-ones to work as well. So unfortunately, they lowered their colours, not necessarily with the midfield as much as he said that. They won the clearances by 6, Goss. It was the turnover game that was pretty big. The Giants kicked 9 goals from the back half. So that is defensive. That's your team D, that sort of stuff. So that's easier to fix because that's what happened to Brisbane last week. And they fix that pretty quickly.
So as it stands right now, the Suns are out, but they've got 2 games. They've got Port Adelaide in Adelaide, Ken Hinkley's last game, and they've got the Essendon game as well at home. The Giants, I mean, there's still so many permutations with this round and that +1 game. Are they either of those 2 teams a contender?
I don't know. It feels like no, because the bad's bad. Yeah. But
Not a
geez,
lot
the
of rhythm
good's
with
good.
either.
No, and injuries are playing. Like, no Hogan is big, isn't it? And then the Gold Coast just haven't been there before. So just making it feels like a big effort. And you talk about all these teams about, they make some match ready for and hardened for finals. Just give me the easy ones. Give me Geelong's run home where not every stat, every game, every quarter matters. And then you get to the second week of the finals and you're cooked. So that could be the case for a few of these sides.
Carlton did a job on Port Adelaide. I want to play this. This was Ken Hinkley. This has been coming for a while. This is a sad admission, and he took offence midway through this answer. Have a listen.
Glad it's here. I'm sick of the. Be honest, I'm sick of the wait. It's been a bit of a battle to get to the end, and we've got here now. And I'm really proud of the way we as a footy club and Trav, myself, and everyone involved with our footy club have been able to keep our spirits up and our energy up to get to the end of the season with lots of challenges.
Went back to the start. Like, would you have seen out this year, or do you feel you should have perhaps stepped down at the end of earlier in the season?
I find that highly offensive. The question's unfair because I committed and the club committed to seeing the season out right from the very start of the year, and we said all the way along we knew what was going on.
I understand the question because has it caused damage? I mean, they are so far off the pace, it's alarming. And he doesn't mention Josh Carr, I noticed in that little...
Yeah, I think when you think of Ken and what's happened, you just think of integrity, I suppose. He's just held up to his word.
Yeah.
I've committed to it. And the club, because there would have been a certain point, there would have been that look at a board meeting around 14 going, well, what do you reckon? And someone in that conversation, it could have been both ways, but it only takes one person to say, are we going to honour this or not? So whether it's the board saying...
Which is the conversation you had with Don Pipe?
Yeah, and I was the one saying, listen, if we're done, we're done. So, for them to go, we stick to our guns and we don't change and this is what we said, there's something admirable about that. But what's it done from a damage point of view? I don't think it's done a lot. It's been a little bit of a wasted year. They finished second last year.
Yeah, their fall was huge.
I think their injuries have played a part too. They haven't had a full complement. Even Horn Francis not being around hurt them, and it just shows you how much you need your stars available. But yeah,
do you think if Ken Hinkley, at the end of a game, so when let's just say he's in the middle of his coaching tenure at Port Adelaide and they're getting thumped, he'd go home and try and dissect it to the nth degree and squeeze it and push it and prod it and come back and we're going to do this. Do you think his mindset would be, I'm not going to be there?
I reckon the last 5 weeks. Yeah, I don't think it's been about dissecting. It's been about effort and attitude. And there's only so many buttons you can push. Wangan Miller is interesting. That's probably the only thing. I'm not going to connect this at all. But he's looking at the 2 teams. And he's going, hang on, at the start of the year, or round 5 or whatever, when I was thinking about, okay, Kari, new coach. That midfield looks great, And now I get to the end of the year and you got a team that's competing for a flag and a team that's, wasted probably the back half of the year. That's the only thing I think might hurt them, but that's a guess.
No, you're right. And Port Adelaide could have got it done, but sadly, Adelaide are going to have to move.
What are they going to do next week? That's the question for Port. I mean, there's only so much you can do for the coach, but it's the last game you'll ever play under him. And it's Gold Coast.
Hasn't won a flag with them after all this time.
No, but it's still a successful career, isn't it?
Okay.
Anyway, we'll move on.
Hawthorn versus Melbourne. It was just a game. I just watched it and went, 26 points is the margin. Hawthorn did what they needed to do. Melbourne's second game under Troy Chaplin. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, Gunston, 11 shots at goal. He's leading the league. I stole this from someone in possessions inside 50, which for 35? Like I coached him at 2010 and it's 2025. So he's...
Why did he go to Brisbane?
Adelaide. Oh, no, Brisbane. I think...
Family? Personal?
I think he might have thought the writing's on the wall. That was sort of around the time that a few players...
All those other guys were going.
Yeah.
Right.
And he was like, okay...
What about that to go back?
Yeah, well, obviously...
Coaching change?
I don't know. Did he leave when Clarko was there? To Brisbane?
Must have been.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happened. But to still go around and do that, and Luke Bruce retiring this week was...
Is Luke Bruce a champ? So I have this discussion with Hayes. Is he? Where does he sit? Is he a champion? Is he a star? Is he? What is he?
Depends on the definition.
Well, that's what I mean.
I think he's... I don't know if he's a champion. He's a star, though, if that's the way you want to describe it.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you judge? Is the Hall of Fame is a judgment piece? There's a lot of players out there who've,
He's not a great, is he?
fantastic.
He's not a great. Lee Matthews is a greater and a legend. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's the history will remember him fondly.
Yeah.
I suppose, and whether he becomes a Hall of Famer, it doesn't really matter. He's got 4 flags under his belt. He's had how many goals? 400, 500 goals.
Super player.
307 games, so there's not a lot he hasn't done. I suppose the only difference between good to great is do you win a Norm Smith? Do you win 5 All-Australians? The individual part, he probably had, although he's been All-Australian twice maybe.
Is Gunston in the All-Australian chat?
I think he is, yeah.
At least the squad.
And he's the same as Bruce. How they get remembered. So when you're part of a successful side, it just probably comes down to individually, how you won a Coleman. They're the type of things to take you to another level. Scotty, that's what he mentioned a lot at the Cashy. Coleman's the only award that's, hey, here's the evidence that you can get.
Talks about it ad nauseum.
Yeah, I did say premierships also count.
We're about being sacked from 3 clubs. Where does that sit?
Traded. Not sacked.
Adelaide versus Collingwood, 3 points.
Yeah, well, this is the whopper game of the round. So this is one with a lot. So, the numbers... What do you do at post game when you're Collingwood? You go, boys, we had 34 more inside 50s. So, is Bobby Hill the only answer at the moment to get that rhythm going? I don't know.
Well, they thought McCreary was going to be, and he was but he was first game back.
Well, this is when it comes down to it. It's about winning right now. And same with Fremantle. Like you can't not polish it, but you can't massage. We're really happy. The numbers suggest we should have won. We'll take a lot of positives. It's as much
really? Well, that's exactly what Craig McRae said. Have a listen to this.
No, I thought we were playing some really good footy and just not quite getting the job done. Gold Coast, we kicked 10 points before we kicked a goal. Fremantle, we dominated a lot of the play with 20-odd points up, lose by a point, bounce back against Richmond, and then we had a good half against Brisbane and had a poor quarter and a half, and then we had a really bad game against Hawthorn, a good opposition who make most teams look silly if you don't turn up. Yeah, we had to bounce back this week, and I think we turned the narrative around internally again that we think that stuff will stack up. There's an energy for that'll stack up.
I think he's talking to his players, but it's about winning, right? But I keep forgetting, like if they win next week, there's a chance they finish top 4.
Yeah,
a strong chance. So,
but they've lost 5 of their last 6, and they've beaten Richmond.
And maybe that's why it's hey, listen. We stacked up tonight. We played the best team in the competition. Away game. We brought our heat. We had 34 tackles inside 50. It looked like a Collingwood type of game, except for probably the connection on scoreboard. So I think the message is, whereas you Fremantle, there's no room for, we actually played well and lost. It's we need to win, and that's what it's all about. I don't care if we win conceding 50 inside 50s. We need to win. We don't care. Whereas feels like Collingwood are a little bit more, let's get our identity back first, and then we'll worry about winning second. And when you look at the ladder, you probably think, yep, there's a reason for that, because if they finish top 4, there's still another 3 games left for them minimum.
They've got Melbourne, so they should win that.
Well, they should. If they don't win that, then it is obviously about winning.
I'm going to play this grab. It's on Bobby Hill, whether he's available or not. Now, I don't know. Everyone keeps telling me the stories about Bobby Hill and the rumours about Bobby Hill, but I just hearing Craig McRae reading Now, listening to what he's saying, I suggest that Bobby Hill's not close.
Bobby's getting better every day. Not sure he'll be available next week, but it's pleasing to have him back this week training hard for us. And we might strengthen up a little bit, especially with someone like Howie available. Yeah,
well, they're only missing 2 or 3 players. And, if that's the answer, personnel, then you are in a bit of strife. So, can we talk about Adelaide just a tiny bit? So, I know the numbers didn't stack up, but they won contested possessions by 17. And they won post-clearance ground balls by 26. So, that means don't worry about the stoppages. Anything outside of a stoppage, that's a smashing. So there's parts of the game we're down on the weekend, and obviously they couldn't get it out of their back half. They're the worst team in the comp at getting it from D50 to forward 50. It's not their go. They want to be a front half team, which I think holds up a lot more in finals, and they couldn't beat Collingwood at that. But to have the contest in that level and to manage the scoreboard conceding that much inside 50s, sometimes you got to win ugly, and they won ugly.
Listening to the commentary with Gary and Jason Dunstall, experts, they seem to think that Collingwood's forward entry kicking style was a deliberate ploy. Torpedoes, kicking it around the corner, kicking along the ground. Dirty ball. Yeah. Do you have those moments where that's your design is to sort of stop the aerial prowess of the opposition?
Yeah, they're a good intercept marking side, Adelaide, probably one of the best. So, and it's wet. So they probably said, just get it to ground, boys. We don't care how it gets inside 50. Not let's kick torps, I think it would be. We like the ground ball war, and it was obvious in the end. They've had 34 tackles inside forward 50, but it's about scoring. So I think you mentioned it briefly. It is really, really hard when you're dominating so much and it's in, out, and you're dealing with 36 players in your forward line. You're not going to get a mark on the lead. So that comes from the back half ball movement. So they just couldn't get that extra 4 or 5 shots they needed.
Is it too simplistic to say no Isaac Rankin, no Adelaide?
Yeah.
We'll take a break. North Melbourne, Richmond, it was a pizzling. Harry Sheasel, record equalling 53, 54 disposals.
Yeah,
Huge.
yeah. Yeah, and the question is, should they have tagged? And he doesn't tag Adam Uzo. This is the way he goes. But probably the numbers around that, the plus 35 at contested possessions north. Well, that's a smashing. They had plus 9 clearances and, inside 50s was 62 to 42. Halfway through the third, it looked boys to men, didn't it? Yep. I don't know if you watched any of it, but it just looked like it was the young Richmond side. And that's the difference. That's another 4 or 5 years of development the North have on the Tigers. So they did what they needed to do. Have they had a successful year, Goss? North?
No, I wouldn't say successful. I think, no is the answer.
No. So they're going to finish on, what have they got here?
We'll finish above Richmond.
Yeah, 22 points. How many wins?
5.5.
Yeah, and what they win last year? 3. So technically they can say they've improved, but I think we all thought, actually, you know what I thought we should do? There should be a day where everyone can cleanse themselves.
Oh, media cleansing.
Yes.
Prediction
I got
cleansing.
this wrong.
Yeah.
Do you guys do that?
Well, only if you have to, and I'd have, just backing over that, I probably haven't gone.
Because I remember David King going, when they beat Melbourne round 2 or something, it was like, the North have arrived. It's time. And I'm sure I've done it too at stages. I know my statements aren't as big, but yeah, it'd be good to have a day. We should do, a Monday, first week of the finals, where every media representative gets to say, I'm sorry, or I got it wrong.
Now, good. I think it's a good thing to do. Now, can I just make mention, my, and this is when you were even coaching, I'm famous for saying, who's closer to a premiership?
Are you going to ever admit, wait until it happens? Okay.
That's all I've said. Go and win one and prove me wrong. And
what
at
about
the moment, how do you reckon I'm going now? after the Friday night?
What about when you said Adelaide will finish 17th
I did say that at the start of last year, but I had an outlet. I did say we're making these predictions now in 2024, but we come back and we change them at the start of 2025. So it was a bit of a...
So have you got that wrong?
I got that wrong
would
in
be something you'd
2024.
say. You can't even do it. You can't even... This is what annoys me. There's people out there, reporters, there's people that listen and go, you got that wrong. Okay. And it's okay to say. It's cleansing. You should try it.
43 points Geelong. This was without Jeremy Cameron kicking a goal over the Sydney Swans. The second half was all one-way traffic.
This felt like Sydney looking to the finish line. They've been up for a while. They had a great win last week. And
come on here now.
And they're coming over this week. So I think this is a gettable game for West Coast. I just think this is the 0-all sort of...
You think West Coast, it's a gettable game?
I think it's gettable.
Please.
Yeah, well,
Please,
half full.
Josh says, I'd like to see Caro, Sam and Tom do media cleanse. It might take a while.
We should declare a name for this because someone's going to steal this idea and make it better.
Yep.
So media cleanse.
Oh, boy. The
cleansing.
Yeah, washing our hands. Yeah.
We'll get to the result where you had your...
I like it.
What was your word for the first half an hour of your show tomorrow? Schmozzle. Yeah, we need a word like that.
All righty. And then and Bulldogs versus West Coast Eagles.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was a tough watch if you're West Coast. And, after the first 5 minutes, it broke open a little bit. But, look, they stayed competitive around the clearance work. So I think that's a positive because the matchups, if you look at the matchups with Bontempelli and these guys to the West Coast boys, and the other matchups is the talls in the forward line versus the talls in the back line. I thought they actually did a reasonable job. And to lose by 95 points, obviously I've been there. He spoke reasonably positive after the game, as much as he can be for a 95-point loss.
Thanks to Hungry Jacks. They gave us the coach's call. If you're craving something fancy on the fly, you can get the eggs Benny. It's brand new, or you can just get in there and grab your piece of breakfast at Hungry Jacks, including a red-hot coffee.
On Simo and Goss for breakfast, between the lines.
So we're going to go what the coaches say, what players say in particular. Before we go that, just give us a hook about what's coming up after 8.
We're going to talk to David Wieldy from SEN South Australia. We're going to talk to him about Nasiah Wanganeen-Miller, but now we'll be talking to him about Isaac Rankin.
Ooh.
So that's going to be a juicy story and the big story of the week.
Big news in Adelaide. And these continuing rumours, has anyone else heard the bumblings that it's Harley Reid week this week? It's going to be agreed. It could be as early as tomorrow or this afternoon. Or
so just gut feel is that Harley's staying. That's what it feels like. That's what it's turned to the last couple of weeks. So which is great for West Coast.
Yep, very much so. And they need some positive news. So Don, sign on the dotted line. All righty, Simo, between the lines.
Yeah, we're going to stay on the Fremantle. It's a combination of this week into next week. So what happens when you're giving your message as a press conference? You're talking to the supporters, obviously the media, but you're talking to your players and your supporters and the board and that sort of stuff. So let's listen to Longy here.
We'll go over there and give our best shot. We've won, 11 of 13. I know everyone will be doom and gloom and write us off again after tonight, but got a lot of faith in this team. Didn't go our way tonight, but like I said to him after the game, we'll review it the same way, we'll get better, dust ourselves off and we'll go again. Said farewell to Fifey yet. We've got plenty of footy left in us.
Well, it doesn't matter if you've got plenty left in you, if you've got one game left in you. So it's on. So this now, whether after the game, and I think he's true to his word. So I think today will be, here's our normal process of reviewing, but there would be an argument to say, we're not looking at this. We're going to talk about our mindset because this is not Fife got into the game this week. This is not we played well but we lost game. This is win or go home. So what needs to happen between now and the weekend is important from a coaching point of view. He'd be thinking about what's my attitude on a Monday because that'll set up the week.
Would you review that game much? Because completely different opponent, and you're right, it's all about looking forward, really.
I wouldn't review it at all. I'd look at it one or two clips. This is what let us down, and then I'd be playing this to the players.
Clearly, we've become undone with our defensive stuff at times. When teams get through us a bit too quickly, we obviously find it hard to stop. So that's going to have to definitely be our MO against Fremantle next week, who can score and got some dangerous speed in the front half. So that's clearly the thing we know we've got to be really tight on.
So Bontempelli is talking about Fremantle a second after that game. I would be talking about the Bulldogs a second after the game that we just played if I'm Fremantle. And I'm playing that to the players today. That's what I'll be doing.
It's a pretty frank admission to tell Freo this is our weakness and this is what we're expecting.
But you can see that in them, can't you? It was like even the times that West Coast got through yesterday, even though they butchered a lot of their scoring opportunities, it wasn't like they were overwhelmed by the Dogs' defence, and the Dogs' defence doesn't overwhelm people. You got to put some time into Bailey Dale because he gives them bounce out, but the rest of them are gettable.
Yeah, I think offensively they're sound. Bulldogs. I think they're offensively they're fine, but defensively, I think it's the exposure piece that I'll be talking about that today. And this they're going too slow stuff. I mean, Fremantle have scored from their back half really well this year on occasions. It's just on the weekend they couldn't get it out of their back half, and it fell into the wrong people's hands, didn't it? Like, how many times did Pearce have the ball, which is the most important kick?
Almost from the outset.
Yeah,
Pearce had the first 2 or 3 possessions and was like, now what do I do with it? And the game
Chapman's
stopped.
the same. So there's not enough probably talent for Fremantle to rely on that every week. Fremantle's defence holds up. I'd be going
Wagner back. They played Wagner in the midfield. For me, before he got injured and went out of the side, he provides. I know he's not a superstar, but he provides run and he takes the game on.
Well,
at pace.
The other one, and this is the player they've been grooming to play that role, the kicker and decision maker from the back, is Cooper Simpson. And unfortunately, he'd played a couple of games, started to look good, and then got hurt. It's been
played on the weekend in the Waffle, played okay.
Yeah.
So that would be a massive call.
Hayden Young's going to come back in.
Clark's the one. So they've got Clark, and he had 5 possessions in a row at the start of the third or something like that. And it was like, oh wow, they've had the entries, they had good system. He squeezed up really well. So it's the back line in terms of the back half transit, but it's the mids. They've got to get some field position from the mids, and then can they go a bit quicker off a turnover in the midfield?
We'll chat to you on Thursday briefly after you do Waitley. But do you think genuinely talking Monday, do you think Fremantle can win this game?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. They need to get everything right, and that starts today.
The best version of Fremantle can win this game. Yep, absolutely.
Huge for them.